And hello, weather friends. It is Wednesday night, and it's time to do the weather show. We had missed last week, but this week we are back and happy to be here tonight. We've got a lot to talk about as we go through this evening. There's a lot going on. Now, if this is your first time joining us here, we always start with the forecast. We'll get to that in just a moment. It includes why it is just so hot out there. Our top three big stories we're watching tonight. We'll cover the heat in just a bit. We'll head down the Oregon Trail. This is the in old school weather. We're going to go back into the grade school and do a little Oregon Trail forecast for you. And then also, when is fall? I've been getting that question a lot, especially the past couple of days. It's been so hot out there. Everybody wants to know when it's going to cool off. It's going to cool off in the 7-day. We'll talk about that right now. We always start with the forecast, and we will get things started with that heat advisory. This is in effect tomorrow from noon until 8 o'clock, and it just means it's a heads up from the National Weather Service. They're saying, hey, we want to advise you that tomorrow could feel like up to 106 in spots. And so because of that, the National Weather Service issues this heat advisory. It's easier to list the counties in our viewing area that aren't under it. It's just Person, Moore, Hoke, Bladen, and Robeson counties. Those are the only counties where you'll watch us. Alamance County, I know we have a few viewers out there. You're not under it either. It doesn't mean it's not going to be hot tomorrow. It just means it's not going to be up to the advisory categories from the National Weather Service. Live look at our first alert Doppler net, our 3 radar scanning the skies tonight. Not much to show you tonight at this time. Tomorrow night by 7, 8 o'clock, we'll start to see showers develop to the north. But tonight, if you've got any plans outside or you're watching on your phone, maybe at baseball, soccer, or football tonight, it is a great night to be out. It's just very warm. Not much on our first alert Doppler net for our friends who are color challenged. Our color vision deficiency radar, a CVD radar, formerly called colorblind radar. It is now out there for people especially who have problems with reds and greens. Up to 10% of those watching right now could have color issues. And if you ever need to see a radar picture and it's hard to see the difference between the reds and the greens, this is always on abc11.com/weather. We've got that loop there for you anytime you need it. As of 7:03 on a Wednesday night, we're taking a live look on our Pendo sky cam. 91 degrees right now in downtown Raleigh, mostly sunny on a west-southwest wind at 6. This crane that's putting up a new building, they have a flag right there. Every now and then you'll see it flutter out as we see gusts up around 10 miles per hour. Satellite radar. Looks like I forgot to turn it on. I didn't. There's just not a lot going on across the Carolinas tonight as far as showers or cloud cover. We do see some showers with a boundary up to the north. We'll take a better look at that frontal boundary in our old school weather. But for the most part, high pressure dominating the weather, keeping things dry as we head through the next couple of days. Our seasonal average for this time of year is 68. Tonight we'll be down to 72, so a little above average tonight. Raleigh, 73 Fayetteville, 69 Carrboro, Sanford, 68 in Roxborough, and 70 in Roanoke Rapids. Tomorrow, as you head out the door for that morning commute, it's going to start off warm. It's going to get hot. By lunchtime, 93. That's not the feels like temperature. That's the actual temperature. By tomorrow at noon, you can expect those feels like numbers up into the 100s and staying there through the afternoon. Our air temperature tops out tomorrow at 98 degrees. Very hot. A few storms by the evening, mainly north and east of the triangle. And then a look at the temperatures from across the area tomorrow. 97 in Cary, 97 Carrboro, 95 in Siler City, 96 for you in Clayton and Wendell. You'll be up to 97 tomorrow in Fayetteville, 96 in Lumberton, 96 in Sanford, 97 in Goldsboro. If we go north, those numbers are even in the 90s. Roxborough, Henderson, 94 out your door tomorrow afternoon. Again, these are air temperatures, not feels like numbers. 96 Lewisburg, Rocky Mountain, 97 in Wilson. Your first alert 7-day forecast powered by AccuWeather tomorrow. Feels like temperature of 106. It is a first alert day because not only of the heat, but the potential to see some strong storms. Friday, still could see some storms, 92. Saturday, Sunday, we're in the 90s. Monday, 87 for Labor Day. I know there's rain chances throughout the weekend. There's going to be a lot of dry time this weekend. It's just that with the heat and humidity, especially Saturday afternoon, you'll see some pop-up thunderstorms. Sunday night, the front comes through. At this point, it looks like the rain is in the overnight and then the cooler air next week. Look at Tuesday into Wednesday. Temperatures falling back into the 70s. Let's move on to some old school weather. And we call this old school weather because when you used to turn on your favorite weather broadcast back in the 90s, they'd walk you through highs and lows and we really take our time. If you just need the forecast, you're done and you're good to go. I hope you stay with us, though, because over the next few minutes, we're going to break down why we're seeing what we're seeing across the nation. And we're going to start with the surface map. L's indicate low pressure. H indicates high pressure. High pressure is kind of like the friendly guy in the atmosphere, blue skies, sunshine, the air is very stable. That's why we're not seeing much in the way of rainfall right now. We've got high pressure dominating our weather. A little bit of a trough or an upper level disturbance working through the Ohio River Valley. That's why we see those showers up around Cincinnati on into central West Virginia. And then a significant cold front up to the north. If we zoom it up, there's a huge dome of high pressure way up into Canada, north of Toronto and Ottawa. That high pressure bringing dry conditions to eastern Canada. It's not going to push any cold air in yet. We will have to watch for that, though. Here's the cold air pushing out of Canada, even some snow flying. We'll talk more about that. And then this cold front through Salt Lake City. Eventually, this boundary out in Salt Lake City to Bismarck, North Dakota, this is going to push east across the plains. It arrives in here on Sunday and bringing some showers and bringing out a big change in the weather forecast. We are going to see significantly cooler conditions. Taking a look at all the storms around the country, we'll look for any washes, warnings, and advisories. You can see some strong storms north of D.C. as you get up into Frederick, Maryland. Some showers north of Charleston into central West Virginia, Huntington area. Flash flood warning out towards Cincinnati. That runs until 9:15. They've seen some heavy rain out there. We're not seeing any severe weather in the Carolinas tonight. Actually, a tornado warning showing up out in, this is in North Dakota. There's Fargo. Here's Aberdeen, South Dakota. So south of Bismarck, you're seeing some tornado warnings. Looks like some nasty showers and storms out in the northern plains. And then look at this. This is snow in the Rocky Mountains in Montana. And then it extends up into portions of Alberta into Canada. That's just the first cold air really starting to settle in the mountains. Nothing like that headed our way, but we always like to talk about any snow that we might see. Here's our European model. I'm going to advance this ahead. Saturday, 10 o'clock. This is Saturday night. You'll see we've just got some spotty showers and thunderstorms firing across the Carolinas. But this is that significant cold front I was mentioning. This is going to be pressing east. And if we run this ahead from Saturday into Sunday, the cold front presses through. It brings that chance at a storm into Sunday night. Now, this is Monday night, Labor Day. The front is pressing south. It's pressing out of here. Look at this giant area of dry air. That's high pressure that will settle in. And as that high works across us, it dries us out and it gives us the cooler temperatures on into next week. Let's talk tropics real quick. And first of all, there are two systems with low chances of becoming tropical cyclones in the next 5 days, but we are keeping an eye on those storm chances. Again, not seeing any big storm chances or tropical storms to deal with yet. But we are coming to the biggest, the best chances for severe weather and for tropical systems. As a matter of fact, if we take a look, I think my weather clicker stopped working there. There we go. If we track the tropics, and this is a look at the tropical season that starts May 1st, it runs till December 1st. It's okay, then we hit September. And September is usually when we see the highest frequency of tropical storms. This is what's headed toward us over the next several days and into the month of September. Because we're still heading into that very busy season, we're keeping an eye out for more tropical storm formation. Meteorologist Robert Johnson talked with our expert friends over at AccuWeather, our partners at AccuWeather, about what could be headed in over the next several weeks.
I'm meteorologist Robert Johnson. Though we haven't had that many named storms around here, North Carolina has been impacted by Debbie earlier in the season, but the season is expected to ramp up with more tropical activity. Joining me now, AccuWeather lead hurricane expert Alex De Silva. Alex, good to be with you yet again. And we've seen a couple of named storms already. What have we seen so far in the hurricane season, Alex?
Yeah, we've seen two impacts to the U.S. so far. We saw Debbie and Beryl. Beryl went into Texas and then went all the way up into the Northeast. We remember we saw lots and lots of tornadoes with Beryl. So even hundreds and hundreds of miles away, we still saw impacts from Beryl. And then Debbie came along, went into the Florida Panhandle, made a left hook over the Atlantic Ocean, and then went up towards your guys' area, impacting the area with heavy winds and lots of flooding.
So we know, Alex, that the peak of hurricane season is coming very soon. When is that peak, and what can we expect as we get closer to the peak of hurricane season?
Yeah, the peak of hurricane season is September 10th, so we're on the upswing here. You can see on the graph here, we're really starting to ramp things up. It's like going up to the top of the hill on a roller coaster. We're really ramping it up. September 10th, like I said, is the statistical peak. So, you know, every year is a little bit different. Sometimes we see more storms after the statistical peak. Some years we see some before. But on average, the beginning of September is when we would really expect things to ramp up. And primarily, it's because of three main reasons. Number one, that's when the water temperatures are the warmest typically across the Atlantic basin. Number two, that's usually when we see the least amount of dry air coming across from Africa. And number three, we typically see the least amount of wind shear across the basin during September.
And you talked about what is usually happening during that time of the year. So as we go into September, what can we expect this September?
Yeah, sure. So over the next couple of weeks, that really dry air that we've seen kind of holding back the tropical season, again, that dry, dusty air coming off of the African continent, I think is going to start to wane as we head into the month of September. So tropical systems, they like a moist environment. And when there's a lot of dry air, it can kind of choke these things out before they really even have a chance to get going. Once they get going, they can kind of form a bubble around them and can kind of keep the dry air away. But it's more about the kind of the starting of these tropical systems. When they're kind of in their infancy, they struggle when there's a lot of dry air. And that's really the reason why we haven't seen so much during the month of August. But like I said, things are going to be changing here as we go into September. We're seeing the reduced dry air coming off of Africa. This is the zone we're highlighting down across the southern Atlantic here, or southern North Atlantic, heading towards the Lesser Antilles. We're going to see a lot of tropical waves coming across that area over the next couple of weeks. Any number of them could develop, and then we'll have to watch them as they come across. We've seen a very strong Bermuda high so far this year, which has allowed these storms to come a little further west than in a typical year. So we've already seen 2 hits in the Gulf of Mexico. I am worried we could see at least 2 to 4 more hits on the United States during this tropical season.
Anything that is piquing your interest right now out there in the Atlantic?
Yeah, we're highlighting 2 areas right now. One area south of Bermuda. I really don't think that area really has too much of a chance. There's a kind of a weak area of low pressure up in this region here. There's a lot of wind shear in that area right now, so that one I think is going to struggle. But even if it does develop, should move well out to sea without any impact to the United States. The other area we're watching is going to be a tropical wave approaching the Lesser Antilles around the holiday weekend. We'll have to watch that for development. Again, the water temperatures are really warm down there, and the dry air is starting to already back off. So we'll have to watch that coming through here. I think if it's a stronger storm, if it's able to ramp up a little bit, has a better chance of moving north of the islands here. If it stays a little bit weaker, this could sneak into the Caribbean, and we'll have to keep an eye on it as it comes across the Caribbean.
I said it at the top of this season. I think we'll be talking to you a lot more. We have, and I think that will continue. Alex, thank you.
All right, Alex and Robert, thank you so much. So the peak of hurricane season still a few days away, but we are headed toward what could be still a very busy month in September. We're going to finish old school weather with really old school weather. If you're like me and you worked on the Apple IIe when you were in elementary school, you played a little bit of Oregon Trail. Here's the Oregon Trail forecast for tomorrow. I just think this is kind of a fun and different way. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, 65 degrees, partly cloudy skies. By 1 o'clock, we're seeing a few more clouds work through. Temperatures getting up into through the overnight into the 60s. Look at this, nice weather, but you lose 3 hours of yard work as you head through your Thursday. By Thursday, 7 a.m., 63 degrees, and then we start to see the warm up. 10 a.m., we're up to 67. If we continue on our Oregon Trail, we'll be up into the 90s by tomorrow. Let's talk viewer mail. Always love to hear from you all, and this piece of viewer mail was sent to me from Tanya in Fayetteville. She says, I'm tired of the heat, big weather. Is fall coming any time soon? Yes, officially, fall begins in the weather department September 1st. The first day of meteorological fall, we go by months instead of specific days, is September 1st. So we're only a couple of days away from that. Officially, the first day of fall from tonight is 24 days away. So just over 3 weeks from now, we will be seeing the official start to fall. But what are we talking about when we talk about fall? Let's take a look at the Earth and the different seasons and where we are. We're going to head in first to the autumnal equinox. That's when autumn officially begins. The first day of spring usually happens in April. The first day of fall happens September 22nd. The center of the sun is directly above the equator, and all areas receive about 12 hours of sunlight. So Arctic Circle, 12 hours. Antarctic Circle, 12 hours. It's pretty much an even day, and that is the autumnal equinox. That's the first day of autumn. Then we head toward the winter solstice. When winter solstice happens, that's the first day of winter for us around here. The center of the sun is actually south in the southern part of the globe over the Tropic of Capricorn. It means short days in the northern hemisphere, long days in the southern hemisphere. As far as the amount of daylight goes, up in the Arctic Circle here, as you get up toward Alaska, they don't see any daylight. Down in the Antarctic Circle, it can stay light for up to 24 hours. Tropic of Cancer, about 10.5 hours, and that's when we are in the heart of winter and seeing our shortest days of the year. Then if we run it all the way ahead to the summer solstice, that's when the sun is on the northern half of the globe. We see the first day of summer, June 21st, my mom's birthday, by the way. Center of sun is directly above the Tropic of Cancer. Long days in the northern hemisphere, and actually, at the Tropic of Cancer, you see 13 hours of sunlight. Well, down in the Antarctic Circle, it stays dark all winter long. Fall, that's when we get that equal parts daylight and nighttime at the equator and pretty much across the globe. And the first day of fall, just over 3 weeks away. Speaking of viewers, let's take a look at a viewer pick. Love this viewer pick coming to us from Cindy Bowen. This is Ian in his helmet. Now, this was actually taken up in the northern part of our viewing area during a tornado warning. And in the old days, we'd say, just go get someplace safe. But now, when a tornado warning is issued, we're asking that you get shoes on and get a helmet on. Why? Well, the number one injury from a tornado is not the house being picked up and dropped on a witch. The number one injury comes from flying debris inside the house. So if you've got a helmet on, it will protect you. Bike helmets work great. Ian did not have a bike helmet. He had a baseball helmet. Perfect. Safe thing you can do. You should also put on shoes, hard-soled shoes, because the number one breakage during a tornado comes from broken glass. And if that glass breaks and you're trying to walk through a damaged house, you could step on broken glass and cut your feet up. So bravo to Ian. His mom snapped this as he was getting in his bathtub in his safe place with his helmet on. Add a helmet to your severe weather safety routine if a tornado is headed your way. And we would love to see your pictures. abc11.com/share. That is the easiest way for us to see your pictures and for you to communicate with me here. Finally, we end every show on Wednesday nights with your cup of coffee forecast, although tomorrow I think you're going to want an iced coffee just because it is going to be hot out there. Temperatures in the 70s by 10 o'clock, 86 in the feels like numbers, getting up toward the triple digits. That's going to do it for us this week. Thank you so much for spending part of your week with us as we talk about weather. We're here every Wednesday night. Of course, we're on whatever we need to be with severe weather chances. That could be tomorrow night. So watch out for severe weather. Stay weather aware tomorrow with the heat, the humidity, and the chance for storms late in the day. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you next week here on The Weather Show.